Some celebrated fires extinguished by Red and his crew were the massive 1970 offshore blaze at Bay Marchand, Louisiana, the X-Tox #1 blowout in the Gulf of Mexico in June of 1979, and the Piper Alpha disaster in July of 1988.
Piper Alpha at the time and up until now, I guess, is the largest single loss of life in an offshore oil incident. It was a very complex platform that had a lot of production facilities and a lot of people on board. And they had a flash fire.
The Piper Alpha oil platform became an inferno within seconds. The cameraman who took these pictures was on board the first rescue helicopter to reach the scene. The searing heat could be felt as the helicopter closed in on the disaster zone. It was clear from the outset that those on board the platform stood little chance of survival.
It wasn't to do with any of the wells that were producing or the one they were drilled. It was a production problem that started the fire. Called Mr. Adair and said, we need your help. We want you personally and bring whatever you need, but we want you to come to it. I think we were in New Orleans when it happened anyway. We came back to Houston, got our stuff together, and chartered a plane to Aberdeen, and then went offshore to. They had another vessel already on site called the Theros, which is a semi-submersible firefighting vessel. So we had a base of operations to start with, and we had to remove all that debris so we could get to the wells. And one of the worst things in the beginning was trying to identify which well was the one that was burning. There was a number of wells that the majority of them had been shut in by subsurface safety valves, but there were wells that were still capable of blowing, and they would blow for a little while and burn, and then they'd go back, kind of, we call it making a head of gas, but they'd flare up and die down, so we had to identify which was which and work our way into either pump drilling mud into them or change the valves to seal them off permanently.
But the most notable accomplishment of Red's career occurred in 1991. Following the Gulf War in Iraq, Red and his team extinguished 117 of the estimated 700 burning oil well fires ignited by Saddam Hussein's Iraqi troops retreating from Kuwait. The wells extinguished by Red and his men were located in the Ahmadi Magwa and Burgan fields, the highest production fields in Kuwait.
It's the most awesome sight I've ever been exposed to. You just don't think of, when you look in any direction, there's a fire. And in the Burgan field, those wells are drilled on about a kilometer spacing. So, just a grid of fires to look at. And we bid the job and really started off with it like it would take 2 to 3 years minimum. And then we got kind of a production system going and got some help in there and wound up doing it in 7 months. Well, I was on the first non-military flight back into the country. We went over, Boots Hanson and Joe Bowden and myself and some other engineers with OGS that worked for the Kuwait Oil Company at the time. Went back in March after the invasion to look at what was left and try to assess the damage and see if what equipment might be there to work with, which was little or none. They stole everything they get their hands on. The Iraqis took it back to Iraq with them. The Kuwait's always been a well-to-do country over there and had a lot of things. They stripped their cars and took all the oil field equipment that they could back to their country.
Red was instrumental in expediting the shipment of crucial supplies and equipment into Kuwait by testifying before the Gulf Pollution Task Force.
It's going to be a mean one because the ground around it is so hot, it'll turn a lot of that into glass. It'll be that hot. And when that gets in the air, it'll probably go, maybe 200 or 300 feet in the air.
How hot does that get around the fire?
It'll turn that glass and the sand into glass. It's awful, awful hot. Mm-hmm. We don't carry a thermometer with us, so if we did that, I probably couldn't get anyone to work up there.
Although estimates of completion of the firefighting operation ranged from 3 to 5 years, this monumental task was completed in a record 9 months.
When I got to Kuwait, I was only there for the last, 92 days. I stayed there. but they had already, you know, everything had settled down by that time. But it was kind of funny, though, that when we finished one well, like when we're here in the States, you know, we'd have a little celebration and then we'd just get an airplane and come on back. Well, over there, since there were 700 plus wells, when you finish one well, we wouldn't even get a truck to haul anything for us. We'd just get a hold of it with a bulldozer, go right straight across the desert and set up at the next one. I think they were on 1 mile centers, and you know, it just got to be a job after a while.
Red's career has been recognized worldwide by the news media with magazine and newspaper articles and television commentaries and documentaries. His industry achievements have made Red Adair a household name.
He loved every minute of it. He just thought that was the finest thing in the world. And surprisingly enough, Germany, England, Europe, everybody over there knows who Red Adair is. It's really surprising. And even down in the African continent, down south, you can say anything about Red Adair and they know exactly who you're talking about. Singapore, same thing.
Former President George H. Bush once wrote, "Through your undaunted courage, perseverance, and skill, you have probably saved more oil than any single individual in the world. Each time you go into a wild oil fire situation, you demonstrate again that American ingenuity, skill, and self-discipline can master the seemingly impossible. You have served your country well by your willingness to do a dangerous and important job with a rare ability. In an age said to be without heroes, you are an authentic hero." Red Adair died on August 7th of 2004. Fighting fires was always in Red's blood, and he will always be remembered in the oil well firefighting and blowout industry. He helped pioneer the industry. He built it, he expanded it, and he made it exciting.
Well, I think a lot of people over-exaggerate it, and I think we got too damn many experts in this world today anyway.